Hello, good evening, everyone. Today, I am here with you to share our experience as delegate with the CII Global Economic Policy Summit. Now, we were fortunate enough, the team of ArthaPoint, that we got to attend this summit, which was related to economic policy for a future ready economy. There were multiple topics that were chosen, and all of these were of extreme interest for any student who is pursuing anything related to economics, whether it is a master's in economics degree, whether it is bachelor's in economics, whether you're just interested in economics and you just go ahead and want to understand the day-to-day economic affairs of your economy. There were various topics that were addressed, and one such topic was the topic which was related to building infrastructure. All of us know that infrastructure is a very important phenomena in any economy. Now, from the background of being a student of economics, you should be able to appreciate that whenever the economy is developed with its better infrastructure, whenever the government spends on infrastructure, actually what happens is a multiplier process starts. We know the macroeconomic background to it, right? And we understand that when this multiplier effect starts, it generates more jobs, it generates more income for the people, and that also kind of gives another boost to the economy. So this was a very good session, and I was very privileged to see Shri Nitin Jairam Gadkari, who is the Minister of Road Transport and Highways, as he was the chief guest of this session, and he kind of addressed this session on how the infrastructure should be built in the economy. Then we also had sessions which were related to how you can go ahead and take your Indian companies global. We are no more in the era where we would be sustained within India, and our economy is one which is open to the outer world. So how do we go ahead and how do we take the Indian economy, industries and companies to the global world? That was a beautiful session. This was addressed by Shri Damu Ravi, and he is the Secretary, Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India. And apart from this, we had multiple various sessions like, what about the digital economy, and what about the tax revenues, and they talked about the tax GDP ratios and how those can be how those have to be a good indicator of how the economy is performing, how to go ahead and boost taxation culture in India. And these were some of the many topics that took place. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you one of the gist. Just go ahead, have a look at it, and then I will give you a brief about the session that the video is showing you.
It's 1.5% next year, you won't have a Fed that's cutting interest rates. And I think that's the key point to realize, that 2022 became difficult because the old correlations broke down. Normally, when you have a strong dollar, you have weak commodity prices.
India, US, wherever you see, there will be disinflation. It just will not be sufficient disinflation. But this is a very problematic story then.
The session that you just saw was the session on economic slowdown, inflation, government debt. Now, again, as economic students, you should be able to appreciate that, especially when we had COVID-19, the economy went through a slowdown. We also understand the various changing factors in any economy affected by the global scenarios. Like, for example, we have the Russia-Ukraine war. And, we understand what kind of inflation is taking place. We understand how the RBI is going ahead and changing the repo rate on daily basis, literally. So, how the level of debt will be there in the emerging economies, and what would be the level of inflation, and how that inflation will be affecting the fiscal deficit of the government, and what would be different macroeconomic challenges that would take place, and what would be the policy prescriptions for India and developing countries. That is what this session was about. We had, some of the very brilliant minds as part of the panelists. In the video that I just showed you, it's a gist of the panelists that we had, and we had Mr. Neelkant Mishra, who is the managing director and who is part of the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister, and we also had people from Institute of Economic Growth. We had the director and chief economist of the TPS Bank, and we also had people from the World Bank Group. But one of the very, very more interesting sessions that we had, and I'm going to go ahead and show you a gist of that now, was a session with Shri Singh, who, as we know, was the chairman of the 15th Finance Commission. And he talked about the relationship that must exist between the center and the state, and why that association between center and state is important. Have a look at that video.
So we know very well that the broad issue of center-state relations is embedded in our constitution. It is fortified, and I think that broadly speaking, we recognize that India is a union of states. It's a federation, but not a confederation, which means that the states have not come together in any manner when the union was created, but it is held together. The states may be destructible, but the union is indestructible. And this is a fundamental difference between our model of federation compared to various other models in which could be the other way around. Now, I think that we've had a very robust history of roughly over 75 years in which this relationship has evolved. It began, to some extent, it began even before the Indian Constitution was adopted. It began by the Government of India Act of 1935. If you look at today's Constitution, you will find that a lot of it might bear resemblance to the Government of India Act of 1935. Indeed, the debates in the Constituent Assembly, which really dealt with the center-state relations, are reflected also the sort of previous acts which dealt with, broadly speaking, the division and the distribution of resources between the center and the states. For this distribution to take place, one of the balancing wheels in the Constitution, as it was called, is the Finance Commission. I had the privilege to chair the 15th Finance Commission. My award is for six years and not 5. And
so as students of economics, I would go ahead and tell you not to be limited to your bookish knowledge. Step forward. Go ahead and attend such conferences. Go ahead and attend workshops. Go ahead and listen to people. Every time DSC uploads something related to, or some workshops related to some research papers, go ahead and attend them. Open your mind. When you listen to these people and you understand how the real economy works, you can link it back to your knowledge from the book. You will understand, okay, how does the Phillips curve work in the real scenario? Okay, how is the twin deficit problem working? All of us know that from many years we have been debating about the twin deficit problem. But how is that in the real world? Is India still facing that, or have we just gone ahead and taken a leap and bound from that problem? So you must go ahead and attend some such sessions, and stay tuned. In the future also, we would be bringing you gist of many more such sessions. Thank you.